In the middle of winter of 2022, Gundam.co.nz announced a Gunpla competition. And of course, I wouldn't want to miss it. Even if I don't win, for the fun of it, I am in. For this entry, I will be using elements from two separate model kits. The main kit is a Haropla and the other is the EFGF Anti-Mobile Suit Squad kit. The Anti-MS Squad is a pretty rare kit. I am so lucky to have stumbled on one of these. I will be using the soldiers in this kit, and I will save the mobile suit arm for a different project in the future. Though I have so many projects in mind, I cannot wait to work on them. For this project, I was inspired by a podcast between Zaku Aurelius and Link about themes of war in Diorama. They talked about how sometimes dioramas portray violence and how mobile suits are essentially an imaginary weapon of war. Of course, there are also dioramas that portray or inspire peace, like an appeal to stop war. Around the time when I was thinking of what I could do, the war in Ukraine was all over the news. And so I thought maybe I should portray in my work my own perspective of the war. We will see if I manage to do that successfully at the end of this video. Keep watching!
About this for the first time, and like, I never really knew that was kind of like...
In this clip, I am cutting a portion of the pegs diagonally in half. What it does is reduce the surface area that gets in contact with the hole where the peg goes into. By doing so, it makes inserted parts easier to separate should you need to take them apart later in the process. Here I am sanding the mold marks on the surface of the kit. Better to get rid of it than regret it later after the paint is done. Of course, there is the always present mold lines. I like getting rid of it by sanding it flat. Then I run the scriber in the gaps to get rid of the mold lines that the sandpaper did not reach. I like it when it's clean. It adds to the quote, realistic effect. Personally, I think it takes away the impression that it is really made of plastic. Just a little bit of illusion or delusion. Okay, I am in no way an expert on this, but I decided to glue all the parts together before painting them. I am not sure if that is how experts do it, but I believe potentially some would paint it before gluing them together. While I was painting it, I found it challenging to paint with all the parts already cemented together. Maybe there is a better way to do it. Please let me know. You can write it down on the comment section. This Haropla has empty holes on its joints. To make it more interesting, I wanted it to look like screw heads, making it more detailed. I used Tamiya putty to close the other holes, gaps, and seam lines that I wanted gone. Tamiya putty dries nicely, and when it dries, it gives a good control over how you want to shape it. I'm using sanding sponge to remove the excess putty to make sure that the curves will be maintained. Always have a water with you to keep the sandpaper wet. A wet sandpaper is a safer way to sand. Alright, I'm putting all the parts together to have a good look on my progress so far. expressive hands. Well, it makes the kit more expressive. So for a gunpla builder, I think it is handy to have. At this point, I have decided how I wanted Haro to pose. Now, I just have to make sure that the pose is maintained. To do that, I applied a small amount of Tamiya thin cement in Haro's joints. Thin cement gives you more control should you change your mind about the position of the joints. To add more expression, I also gave Haro eyebrows. Eyebrows is a good way to read emotions. Wouldn't you agree? I am aiming for the viewer to see Haro's disappointment. So I gave him a crossed eyebrow. I got this box from Daiso. I'm dismantling it and only using half of it. Corks are good stuff to use for land formation, as you will see me use here. It's kinda dense and tough, so I needed to use a bigger hobby knife. Always remember to work safely. No one wants to lose a finger. PVA glue is probably one of the best tools I use for model making. It's always good to have one with you. There you go, a landscape. But we're not done yet. I'm priming it thick enough to hide the putty. We don't want that yellow spot sticking out. There you go, nice and clean. The surface area of this kit made me realize I should buy another airbrush with a higher cup volume. When painting kits with wide corners, I recommend to paint those corners first before the flat surfaces. I learned from experience that doing that decreases the chances of flooding the flat surface with paint. Watch this technique. Watch closely. I'm painting a smoke effect on the thrusters to make it look like it has been used. It's my first time painting thrusters in this style. It's okay, I guess. Could be better. And of course, to protect the paint, don't forget the top coat. I love using enamels for the details. I also like using enamel for the joints because enamel paint is thick and strong when it dries. I haven't tried lacquer paint yet, but I heard it is a strong coat too. What is your experience with it? Enamel is also nice for painting small parts like this guy's gun. It would be a hassle to airbrush that, although you still can, I suppose. Here I will be making a dull shade of green for Haro's armor. I will use buff to give it a desert-like tone. This is not the exact ratio you are seeing. The mix ratio will be up to your artistic choices. Dab your sponge gently in there, then give your kit a gentle touch. Boom, just like that. Let's add some more, but not too much. Water decals are the best decals ever. I have a good collection of them. It's okay to scrape the decal a bit to give it a scratched and worn effect. I love these MAK water slide decals. Some of them are cooler than the ones for Gundams. I am hand painting layers of chipping effects in different colors. We started with the dulled color as the base, then the white, then lastly with a chipping brown paint. This is my favorite chipping paint. What's yours? It is important to leave the edges of the first two layers unpainted to get the desired effect. So we are pretty much showing varying degrees of weather and damage to Haro.
In crises of great danger, it was a custom of the Phoenicians to give freely.
Now, to merge all these layers together, the way to do it is with a wash. In this case, enamel wash. Enamel can crack the plastic if it isn't painted. To prevent that from happening, coat the kit with acrylic or lacquer. The other option is to use it sparingly. I find this Mig Jimenez weathering brush useful for streaking effect.
Tuscany. Stone weights were found. So fine living were dug up. This shit out of the earth. They had wealth in the hands of just a very, very few people.
So it's a different style of slavery.
I don't have much to say for how to paint miniatures like this, because at this point I was really just winging it. For the skin, I just painted a layer of pink paint first, and then second layer is the flesh.
I admit, I'm sure you would. Not the good weather. Welcome.
Hey guys, if you're still here watching the video, if you made it at this point, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. As you can see, my subscribers hasn't reached 1,000 yet, so I would really appreciate it if you guys could help me by subscribing, liking the video, and putting your comments in. I'm really just doing this for fun. I hope I managed to share what I've learned so far, and I will be sharing more of what I learned in the upcoming videos soon. Thank you again, and it's not the end of the video yet, so I'm just using this part to thank you all. Thank you so much.